Architects, pull up your Eames chair, put on those black spectacles, and pour yourself a piping hot cup of strong black coffee because we're about to delve into unfiltered conversations with architects from all over the world discussing all things health and wellness. So if you're an architect that's been searching for more balance, more fulfillment, and more overall health and happiness, turn up your hearing aids just a notch because we've got the answers. I'm your host, Morgan 𝗬𝗪𝗏, a licensed architect, stress management consultant, and founder of The Healthy Architect. Grab your trace paper and let's dive in. Before we dive into this episode, I want to take a quick minute to tell you about the Wellness Hub for Architects. The Wellness Hub is a virtual platform of health, wellness, and stress management micro classes designed and curated specifically for architects by architects. The best part? All of the classes are 15 minutes or less and are designed to be completed during your workday. That's right, you get paid to take these classes. Are you an architect preparing to walk into an OAC meeting and you're feeling the stress and anxiety build up because the contractor might throw you under the bus again? Well, complete a 5-minute class for architects to help that stress drip off of you so you can walk into that OAC meeting calm and confident. Are you an architect sitting behind your screen all day designing in Revit and your shoulders are inching closer and closer to your ears with built up tension? We've got the answer. Complete a 10-minute desk yoga class for architects to allow your shoulders just to drop 1/8 of an inch. You're going to feel so much better afterwards, I promise. This is just a small glance into the Wellness Hub for architects. The Wellness Hub is for you if you're an architect who wants to be healthier, happier, calmer with less stress, and more creativity. Join other architects from all around the world in the Wellness Hub for architects for only $39 a month. And because I appreciate my podcast listeners so very much, I'm offering 25% off the first 25 architects that use coupon code The Healthy Architect Podcast, all capitalized. I'll see you, healthy architects, in the Wellness Hub. Now let's get back to the episode you've all been waiting for. Cielo Stein, thank you so much for being on the Healthy Architect podcast.
Thank you for having me as a guest. I feel honored to be here with you.
Oh, we are honored. So Cielo is the owner of Cielo Breathwork, and Cielo is also one of our breathwork instructors in the Wellness Hub for architects, where she teaches architects how to utilize their breath to reduce stress during their workday. And in today's podcast, we're going to delve into the scientific benefits of breathwork, how we as architects use our breath to ultimately become healthier architects. So, Cielo, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how breathwork has changed your life?
Well, I like to think that breathwork found me instead of me finding breathwork. About 2.5 years ago, I started my own self healing journey, and I was doing a lot of meditation and yoga and all these practices. And I was starting to feel like the difference in my day to day life, how I was a lot less stressed. And all these practices were great for me. But when I was trying to asked my friends to join me into this journey, I was getting a lot of feedback of I cannot get into meditation. I cannot quiet my mind. I cannot do yoga. I don't understand how that works. I have never felt anything from it. I just don't have time for it. I don't feel anything. And so I was just like kind of like frustrated because I really wanted to help everybody and I wanted, to like back then I didn't even know the science behind it. I just knew that it just felt good and that I was changing my life. So like I had a friend that he had gone to Bali and he spent some time there and then he was just visiting us and we were talking about, practices for wellness and mindfulness and he said, "Have you ever heard about breath work?" And I'm like, "What do you mean breath work? Like I breathe and big deal. Like what are you talking about?" He's like, "It has been one of the craziest things I've ever done in my life. I was in Bali visiting a friend. I went to this breath workshop because he wanted me to go. And it was the craziest thing. And it literally has changed my life." And I'm like, what? So he went on to tell me and his experience, and I'm like, this cannot be true. So like, you had no idea what you were walking into, and you started breathing, and you got all these aha moments, and you shifted your nervous system and changed your life. And he goes, yes. And everyone in the room felt the same thing in a different way. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So I started Googling. I couldn't find any breathwork studios or practitioners here in town. But I started like reading books. And the more I did my research on it, I'm like, okay, this is fascinating. Anyone can do this. Anyone, we all have that power of the breath available to us at all time, and nobody's talking about it. So it kind of like blew my mind away, and I just became obsessed with it. And a couple months later, I found this practitioner, but he was doing tours around the US, and he was going to have a workshop in Nashville. So I just bought a ticket, got in my car, went to Nashville, and had my first breathwork session. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. All the things that we don't know that we're holding on, and they're actually affecting our lives, our everyday lives, because we're not letting them go. It's crazy. And you can just release so much through your own breath. So then I just became even more obsessed with the practice. And so, like, I signed up for the different courses, and I started my own breathwork healing journey, which is a very powerful, accelerated healing journey. I always say that breathwork will give you exactly what you need at the time and exactly what you can handle. Even though it feels like a lot, it's really not that much. Breathwork is a practice of conscious breathing control techniques. And what it does is it helps regulate your nervous system. We all live in this fight or flight all the time because that's what society has taught us that it was good and acceptable. And if you're stressed and if you're busy all the time and if you don't have time to breathe, that's okay. You're winning. But if the minute you want to take a break and rest, it's almost frowned upon. Nobody's celebrating that you rest. And that's the thing that we need to start shifting. We need to start celebrating resting and digesting, because what we're doing is we're burning out, we're stressing out, we're lashing out to our family, our friends. And that's not good. You're not productive. If you don't reset, you're not going to be successful. And or you might become successful, but you're gonna take a lot of people along the way. You're gonna lose a lot of friends, and you're not gonna be happy.
You're not going to have a fulfilled life or career.
Correct. And there is a happy balance. It's not one thing or the other. If you allow yourself to be on that rest and digest side of your nervous system, you're going to find that your life starts shifting and changing. Why? Your immune system is going to be directly affected. Your mood, and the big one, the way you show up to life. You cannot change the world around you. It is what it is, but you can change the way you react to the world. And that's a beautiful thing when you know that you are in control of your own life. It's just beautiful to me. And the fact that you can do that through your own breath.
I've had a similar experience as you, as I was working so fast and so hard in architecture. But when I started getting into meditation and breath work, which, you're the expert on breath work, but when I started getting into these practices, I didn't know what I was missing out on. I had no idea. And sometimes our life, we go so fast, so quick, get to the office, do the red lines, go to the OAC meetings, go back to your Revit and start sinking and work, 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 work. We forget that if you actually slow down, there's more clarity and a more fulfilled life, right?
And that is the narrative that we are trying to change. We need to almost deprogram all those beliefs that are stuck with us. And that's what the practice of breath work does for you. It's deprogramming all those beliefs that I need to be stressed. I need to do that. I'm not good enough. What I'm doing is not good enough. What do I need to do to be liked, to be accepted? And shifting that into I am good enough. I want to be my authentic self. I tell people that I didn't know who I was before I started this practice. And then I found out this beautiful girl inside of me that I have been ashamed of my entire life. And I'm still finding her. And she's so beautiful and brave, and she's so worth it. And and I'm embracing her now. And she's vulnerable. And that's okay to be vulnerable. Actually, a lot of good things, great things happen when you're not pretending to be someone you're not. And you'll be actually very surprised to see how many people love your authentic self. When you show up as your authentic self, you see people loving you more and you feel a lot better about who you are.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes as architects, we're kind of put into this box. So you might not know this, but we're supposed to wear black every day. We're supposed to have big black framed glasses and we're supposed to love coffee and we're supposed to sit in an Eames chair and have a certain type of stylus and be very design oriented. We're just put in this box as architects. I don't know if other architects in my audience feels the same way, but what you're saying is the more we can differentiate ourselves and the more we can actually be authentic to ourselves and find our actual selves, I'm going to put words into your mouth, but the better architects we actually become, the better humans we become, because there's no replica of ourselves.
And actually, being your authentic self, we are all unique. We all have our different gifts and we're all beautiful. And instead of trying to be like everybody else, if you're just embracing who you are, yes, you're going to be a better architect. You're going to be a better father, a better mother, a better friend. You're going to show up. When you start showing up for you, the world starts showing up for you too.
Yeah. So I always tell my clients, my architectural clients, that breath work, because before I got into breath work, I didn't know about it, right? I was just like, there's a mask over my face. And so, how I teach architects is that it's the most portable stress management tool you can ever have. It's the most invisible stress management tool you can ever have. And it's the freest stress management tool that you can ever have because you can use your breath when you're in a meeting and you're getting stressed, or you can use your breath when you're behind the computer drawing your buildings as quickly as possible and syncing them and saving them and calling your consultants. You can use your breath to calm your nervous system. Can you teach us a little bit more about the scientific benefits of breath work on your nervous system?
So, breath work to me is the best hidden tool that we have, and it's hidden in plain sight. We all have it, it's all available to us. It's a very powerful tool that we have. Literally, our breath is our life force. The first thing that you do when you come into this life is you inhale and you're alive, you're born. And the last thing that you do is you exhale and you're dead. So it literally keeps us alive. And we take it for granted because we utilize a very, very little tiny part of the whole breath life force that we have, and we do it on autopilot too. So we do the bare minimum to stay alive, and nobody talks about it because you're just, I mean, you're alive. You're just again, even like the first time I heard about it, I'm like, yeah, what do you mean breath work? Like I'm breathing, like it's not a big deal.
We take it for granted, right?
We take it for granted, yes, but when you start tapping into that life force, it's actually a relationship with your breath. We don't have that. And like any relationship in this world takes time and it takes trust. So what I do is just I guide people into healing that relationship that you have with your breath. And again, it takes time and it takes trust because when you start tapping into your own breath and the power of it and how powerful it is almost scary how powerful you are because we're taught that we are not that powerful. Only that person and that other person, they're just superhuman or they're so special. We're all superhuman and we're all special. We just need to tap into that life force that we have. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you are with the breath, the more your breath is going to take on your everyday life by itself. So I tell people when you come into the studio and you have a session, we create chaos and find stillness in the midst of chaos. That's how life is. So you come here and you train for those stressful situations that they're there, they're outside, you can't control them, but you're training, you're stressing your body for a short period of time to understand how your breath can actually regulate and you're actually in control. If you're in control of your breath, you're in control of your life. But again, it's a relationship that you have to heal. And it takes time and it takes practice, but The first time you start utilizing your brain, it feels like, oh my God, you made so much progress because it's that powerful. And on the scientific level, again, what it does is regulate your nervous system. It shifts it from your fight or flight into your rest and digest, which is not a state that we're often in. And that's why it feels so magical and crazy and powerful, because you're just regulating. But the more you regulate your nervous system, the better your stress and anxiety are going to be a lot better, if not gone. It's going to affect your immune system. In the corporate world, I feel like in the last couple of years, corporate America is starting to acknowledge the importance of not only mental health, but physical health in the workspace. If you have a healthy employee, a happy one, they're going to perform better because they're going to have a better life at home. And this is a practice that the more you work on you, the more it's not only for you, but for the people around you. If you have a happy life at home, that's going to reflect at your job.
And also, at least with my clients, I teach them how to incorporate breath work into their 9 to 5. So, for instance, I'm putting myself in an architect's headspace. We are constantly having, not constantly maybe, but a lot of times we have chaos around us, right? We've got the contractor calling us on the phone saying, this wasn't in your drawings. We've got the consultant messaging us saying, which drawing set are we working on? We've got our coworkers' egos talking to us. We've got our boss putting more projects on our desk, right? There's chaos constantly around us. So for me, breath work has really helped me create, like you said, calmness in all of this chaos. And when there's calm in the chaos, I can better prioritize what actually needs to be done at this exact moment and what can be done second or third, or what can even be pushed to next week that I don't, what stressors do I not have to deal with right now? It just gives me a clarity in my head.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, clarity. Like, I feel like our lives are just so cluttered, like, our, because of life, right? Like, there's a lot of distractions happening everywhere. And when chaos happens, then it's just like too much. Like, you have so many distractions that it's almost like you cannot see clearly
Yeah. Yeah.
because we're not passing through all these distractions. They're just like kind of sticking. They don't even matter, but somehow they're still in the forefront of things. In breath work, what it does, it helps you get rid, kind of sort out what's important and what's not important. And it does it in a beautiful, beautiful way. That's, again, that's how it feels so powerful and magical, because you're just breathing and your breath is sorting out what's not important. And then you come out and you're like, oh my God, I can see clearly.
So my story, I won't tell the whole thing, but I burned out several times and I had to find a better way. And so I got into a lot of things, but a couple of things that I explored were meditation and breath work. And it was almost as if I was living in a brain fog for years. Like I couldn't figure out what my master plan is. I couldn't figure out what the bigger picture was. But when I got into practicing meditation and breath work on a daily, it was very clear to me what was important in life and what my master plan was. And it's almost like you zoomed out on the world and you could see the bigger picture and see the bigger plan.
Oh, 100%. I feel like, again, like we have been living in a world where slowing down is frowned upon, is not an option. You almost feel guilty. Guilty.
Yes, you feel guilty. And there's a mom guilt on top of that, but we won't go there. But and another thing is like when you slow down, it allows you to speed up, right? So like slowing down and just taking a couple breaths allows you the clarity in your head to then sprint towards the actual end goal that you want, right? Whereas before, if you're not slowing down with your breath, I was just running left, right, zigzag, up, down, just trying to get somewhere. Didn't care where it was. I didn't know what the end goal was. I didn't realize where the finish line was. But when I started using my breath within my 9 to 5, quote unquote 9 to 5, I could slow down enough to figure out where the finish line was and then sprint in that direction. And I actually got my deadlines done quicker. I actually made more impactful design. I got my to-do list done quicker and better, honestly.
And again, like the power of the breath is just incredible. It allows you to kind of like see things from a different perspective. I feel like we have all these feelings, and we have been labeled them as good and bad. And I don't think that they're good and bad feelings. They're just all feelings. Some are warning sign feelings, and some are just, they're warning you that you're having fun, like joy and happiness. But you also have the other feelings that are warning you, like, hey, watch out here. Don't do this. And the ones that are warning you, we have labeled them as bad and we have been avoiding them. And again, like it's growing up, it's like, don't be crying, you're embarrassing me, you're embarrassing yourself. And nobody wants to feel that way. So we've been like kind of like ignoring them. And they're part of us. They're not adjacent to us. Those feelings are us. So we are neglecting ourselves every time we ignore those feelings. And part of the beauty of this practice is learning how to work with your feelings, all of them, instead of against them. All your feelings are for you. They're rooting for you. They want the best for you. Even the sadness, the rage, that all of them, they love you. They're part of you. They're trying to talk to you. And we ignore some and want to pretend the other instead of, so now like I left my job and like I had a really great pharmaceutical sales job that was just amazing and I was making really good money and I decided to quit that job to do this full time. And yeah, that was my security blanket. And as I was doing that and as I was transitioning, I was like, okay, I'm awfully calm about this. And it felt weird. For the first time, I'm like, this is just weird, but okay. And then I thought, you know what? I am acknowledging that what I'm doing, it is risky. It is, and I had to say it out loud. And I'm like, I know what I'm doing, but I trust in myself. I know that I'm being guided, and I know that this is what my calling. And it's just like, I acknowledge you. Thank you for watching out for me. But I am capable and I trust in myself. So it's again, it's just like changing their narrative. How can we work with them and not against them?
It's almost like we forgot that we're human, right? And especially in the corporate world, sometimes we forget that we're human beings. Like, yes, it's okay to feel stressed sometimes. Yes, it's okay to be mad sometimes and angry sometimes and sad sometimes and unimpressed with yourself sometimes. And it's not those emotions, those emotions mean we are human, but it's what we do with them, it's how we interact with them.
How do we channel them in a healthy way instead of suppressing them?
Yeah.
How do we speak our truth in a gentle, caring way? And we just haven't been taught how to do that. We have been taught to suppress our feelings. Don't look at this. This is embarrassing. Instead of like, it's okay. Sometimes I get mad. And even my husband the other day, he was like, oh, something about me getting mad. And that's not reflecting well on your business. And I'm like, if you would come to my classes, you would know
You would
that
know.
I am not trying to pretend that I don't get mad. I do get a lot less triggered than I used to, but I am a human being. I get upset.
Yes, absolutely, and I tell architects all of the time, I hope architects don't look at me and say, "Oh, well, she's the healthy architect, like, she's not healthy." I am healthy a lot of the time, but sometimes I'm not as well, and that's okay. It's all about balance, right? And it's all about finding that balance, and if you can't find it, creating that balance. I mean, I'm human. I get stressed, and I teach other architects how to not get stressed or how to deal with their stress or how to manage their stress.
Well, stress is good.
Some stress is good, yes.
You have to have some kind of stress. Otherwise, like, again, like working out, you're stressing your muscles. You come to breath work, you're stressing yourself for an hour, your lungs. Stress is good. It's the healthy kind of stress. But living on stress is not good. If you're working out all day, you're burning down your muscles. If you're doing breath work all day, like that's not good. But short periods of stress are good. That's how you grow. But you don't have to leave there. And that's again, like that's when we need to start changing.
I know you teach in the Wellness Hub for architects. So you teach these short 15-minute classes about breath work and how do you incorporate them into your quote unquote 9 to 5. What would you say to an architect that is extremely stressed and doesn't know anything about breath work? What's the bite-sized piece of information that you would give them to get them to allow them to understand the benefits of breath work? Or what how do they start? How do they start other than going to the wellness hub?
I feel like if you don't know anything about your breath, again, it's so powerful that just taking 10, 15 minutes, even, okay, 5 minutes. When you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed, you take 5 minutes, close your eyes, and start. If you put your right hand on your chest and your left hand on your belly, and you start taking some deep breath through your nose and out of your mouth, and kind of like start feeling your breath going in and going out, and feeling that connection for 5 minutes, and you time it, it's insane how much you can get out of that 5 minute practice. And for somebody that doesn't believe in anything, you're gonna notice, because your breath is that powerful. Just finding 5 minutes to connect with it and feel it going in and out, it makes a whole difference. So that's a good start for somebody that doesn't believe in anything and wants to try it.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the hand on my belly and the hand on my heart? Like, why am I putting them there? And what does that do? What should I be looking for, I suppose?
So when you put your right hand on your chest, that's where your heart chakra is. But what you're really trying to look for, especially like the one on your belly, when you're inhaling, it should rise. Like you should feel the air going in through your lungs and into your belly, and it should be rising. And then the one on your left, on your heart, should be moving very little. But you should feel like it's about feeling. That's how you're feeling your breath going into your body and out of your body. And again, just kind of like feeling it going into your belly and your hand rising. And then when you're exhaling, you kind of feel like your abdominal muscles contracting and the air leaving your body. But it's just about feeling your breath and finding the connection with it.
Yeah, and visualizing it, right? Architects are really
Yes.
visual learners. So I tell them to like visualize your breath going through your nostril, down your throat, into your belly, and then out your belly.
Yes, visualizing, that's a great way of finding that connection. And when you close your eyes and you visualize it, you start feeling your breath. And the more you get used to the practice and the more you heal that relationship, you start finding places in your lungs that you had no idea you had access to, and you start finding that your breath are going to like these weird places on your body, because your breath knows exactly where to go. It knows where the stress is being held, and it knows where to go to release it. We just don't allow the breath to do its work because we don't trust it. We don't trust ourselves.
Yeah, and we don't know it's there. And I am here to say that I 100% agree with everything that you said, that you are going to find peace and calmness when you start having and forging a relationship with your breath. It is absolutely amazing. And I'm excited to come to your studio and take one of your classes in person. So I'm going to challenge right now, everybody listening to this podcast, I'm going to challenge you to take and to attend Cielo's classes on July 11th, 18th, and 25th from 12 to 12:15 Eastern Standard Time in the Wellness Hub for Architects. If you cannot make that exact time for her live classes, those are also going to be recorded and placed in the library on the application. But what would you tell architects if they take those 3 classes, and those are all 15-minute classes? How are they going to feel afterwards compared to how they felt before they took the class?
It's so powerful that you will feel very relaxed. That's a really good common feedback that I get. I have people that have walked through this door of the studio and they're like, "Oh my God, I gotta go. I only have like 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And what are we doing? What are we doing? What do I do?" And then after the breath, it's almost like whatever they had so much rush to get to, and it's just kind of like they're like, "Oh my God." You just feel a lot less stress. You feel the calmness into your body. You can just feel it. And that's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah. All right, Cielo, you have your studio in Louisville, Kentucky. Do you want to tell my audience where they can reach you other than attending your classes in the Wellness Hub?
Well, you can check out my website. It's www.cielo.breathwork.com. There's a lot of information there. And you can also follow me on Instagram at cielo_breathwork and Facebook as well. I also have a LinkedIn account, Cielo Breathwork. They're all Cielo Breathwork.
Great.
You can Google me too. I'm the only Cielo Breathwork studio. So yeah, I'm excited to see you guys and connecting. And I'm excited for the July 11th class and meeting all of you beautiful architect souls that are looking to get healthy.
Yes. And Cielo, I'm excited for in the future. I can see myself bringing architects and architecture firms to your studio, your brick and mortar. So cannot wait for that either.
This is the beginning of a beautiful thing that we're creating.
Yes, it is. Okay. See you soon. Bye, Cielo.
Bye.
Architects, this podcast is the culmination of the most creative minds in the world. The planning and programming of this content is extensive, and I'm proud to be a small part of the change that's happening in our profession. If you want to be a part of this change, the very best thank you can give the Healthy Architect is giving us a 5-star review and sharing this episode with a colleague. When you give us a 5-star review and you share this podcast, you are playing a role in changing our industry, one architect at a time. Be happy, be healthy, and take action towards a more fulfilling career. See you next week on the Healthy Architect Podcast.